Hello, everyone. Thank you for your patience. Couple of technical difficulties here or there, but I'm looking forward to getting started with this session, the first steps to building public speaking confidence. Good morning to those where it's good morning, good afternoon to those where it's good afternoon or evening. Definitely include in the chat as we're getting all set up where you're based and what brought you to this presentation. Okay, already seeing some folks. Michelle, Andrea, Yvette, Philip. Hello to everyone who's here. And let me know if you're able to see me correctly and hear me correctly so that we're all good for this live stream. Oh, so happy to see so many folks excited this Monday as well. I know sometimes in the weekend we can have some of those Sunday scaries, but then we can come into Monday just fully charged and excited to get started. Excellent. So I'm seeing locations here. Los Angeles, California, which is also Los Angeles, Houston. Excellent. I'm from Texas myself. I'm from McAllen, so great to see some Texans here. Okay, and looking to gain confidence in public speaking. Well, you're definitely in the perfect place, not just today at noon Eastern, but every Monday at noon Eastern. I'll be talking about a different confidence topic related to public speaking and related to really putting yourself out there as a confident executive professional in the workplace. Yes. And Julianne, great question about this live. This live will stay here on LinkedIn and actually is also streaming to the Latina Professionals Facebook as well as YouTube. So you'll definitely be able to catch it if you have to head out. Excellent. Well, as y'all continue introducing yourselves, where you are currently based, and why you're here, I would love to get started. And today I'm not going to be hosting some slides. I have some strategies regarding public speaking that I'm going to be sharing with you, but I highly do recommend pulling out a pen and paper, good old traditional ye old pre-chat GPT style pen and paper so that you can be able to take notes as well. Okay. All right. Well, what we'll get started with is I will be introducing myself. So, welcome to Latina Professionals live stream here. My name is Sammy Walker Herrera, and I am an executive public speaking coach. With that, I'll be able to highlight just a little bit more of exactly what I do, which is I've worked with about 50 plus executives in the technology space who want to build long term confidence through committed speaking practice, expert feedback, as well as accountability. So, that sense of building consistency in a strong speaking habit. I have personally coached these leaders to speak confidently in executive meetings, in group as well as one-on-one executive interviews, while also at the same time gaining recognition for their work. So in these confidence and public speaking sessions, again, hosted each Monday at noon Eastern, you'll be able to more fully recognize the expert that you are. Oftentimes, some of that struggle with public speaking confidence is I know that I'm an expert, but how do I articulate that I'm an expert to other people as well? So you'd be able to recognize the expert you are, communicate your insights to your community, your company, and the collective good, no matter what your native language is. Another thing that I find very special about my coaching is almost every single person I've worked with, English is their second, third, or fourth language, which means that confident public speaking isn't just limited to those who are extroverts or those who, for example, English is their native language. I want to help you find the power inside to change how you lead. So let's unlock that power together once and for y'all. So, why this topic? Why this first step to building public speaking confidence? Now, when we talk about public speaking confidence, it's really something that for a lot of professionals, they realize it a bit later into their career that communication and public speaking will either be the doorway to promotions, to raises, into higher levels of leadership, or it will be the wall It will be the block. It'll be the Mount Everest or so, if you will, to climb and to address to get to those next levels of leadership. But you may recognize that many organizations don't often host public speaking training in a way that is one on one, or in a way that really focuses a lot more on how do you speak on the spot at work. Oh my gosh. Sorry, I just see that Lena's also from McAllen, so let's definitely connect to Mana. I love that. I want to make sure that you're getting that first step, that inside look to things that I teach my clients on how to start building that first step to public speaking confidence. Because especially speaking to this community and to my community as well, I want to make sure that we're not gatekeeping this information, that you get a sense of, wow, this is how I can get started feeling more confident and really recognizing and embodying that expertise that you have. And so with that, going away from just me and what I do, let's start with the first public speaking strategy that I want you to have, not just in your back pocket, but really something that you jot notes on when you're in executive meetings or when you're prepping for interviews. So let me know in the chat, do you all have your journal, your notepad, your pen, your pencil, all of those materials? Let me know. Oh, and Gloria, I see that you're a Toastmaster. That's fantastic. I have a lot of respect, and I know so many fantastic speakers who've gone through Toastmaster training as well. Let's see. So do we all have our pen and paper? I love using a good scratch paper as well. I find old envelopes too. Okay. I will trust that you have that pen and paper, or even, for example, writing on your iPad, things like that too. Woo! Alrighty, laptop open. Let's start. Okay. So we're going to start talking about structure. Often when I start working with clients regarding public speaking confidence, one of the first things people ask me is, how do I start working on a confident tonality? How do I sound confident? How do I change my body language so that people perceive me as a confident leader? And that's not actually the first thing I start with people on. Now, I'm curious, how many of y'all have done or seen improv comedy? Feel free to just like give a emoji or a yes in the chat if you've been to an improv show. And for anyone who also does improv comedy, I love it. I go to the Steel City Improv Theater here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and I absolutely love it. And I want to tell you a quick story. This past Saturday, I actually graduated from my third improv class, which was called musical improv. And you may be wondering, okay, what's musical improv? Are you singing? Well, not only are you singing, you're acting, you're dancing, and you're setting scenes and making things up on the spot with a group of people on stage, making up an entire musical that is then presented in front of everyone there for 30 minutes. Now, musical improv is very intense. It was an 8-week course. We focused not only on choreography and singing, but again, a lot regarding acting and a lot regarding structure. Now, you may see an improv musical and you may think, oh my gosh, I could never do that. I have no idea how they just knew to get into the song. I have no idea how they knew how to get to that next scene. Like, how did the protagonist and the antagonist know how to do these things? And how are the songs just readily made? How does everyone know the chorus as soon as it's made? And the reason that we are able to figure that out over those 8 weeks to then have a full musical show is that we learned a structure to singing. We learned that many opening songs will start with a chorus, have a verse, go back into a chorus, a verse 2, go back into a chorus, go into a bridge, and then go into a chorus. And even though the first time doing that is intimidating and stressful and you're forgetting the chorus and it's making it too complicated, after time drilling in that structure, you're actually able to make a musical on the spot. And the musical I participated in, just in case anyone was curious, was called Frogs in the Home Depot. So you just gotta love the creativity of the audience who's there. And so because you have your pens, you have your pencils, you have your iPads ready, let's talk about that first speaking structure that's going to set you up for success in building public speaking confidence. And so on your notepad, I want you to write the letters P, and then underneath that R, and then underneath that P. So if you got that, definitely write PRP in the chat so I know that y'all got it. And oh my gosh, I'm loving how many folks are into improv comedy. It's such a fun time. And I feel like it's really amplified my experience as a coach too when I see, oh my gosh, these are some of the things I've talked about, or ooh, got to bring this in for my clients as well. Okay. So that first structure, again, is going to start P, then you'll write R, and then you'll write P. And what PRP stands for is point, reason, point. Very simple. So you have the 3 letters there. Again, another thing you might be thinking is, oh my gosh, point and point again. We'll talk about that starting. But let's start with that first P. Oftentimes, when you're attending an executive meeting, or perhaps you haven't experienced this quite yet because you're an aspiring leader, which is totally fine, you will notice that executives, chief information officers, chief technology officers, chief executive officers, those folks who are and have been in senior leadership or in the C-suite for a long while, they are expecting impactful and concise answers. Their time really means a lot, and they're looking for direct, not only feedback, but direct answers to their questions. Now, if you think about an essay that you wrote in college or in high school, a 500-word essay, oftentimes our English teachers or other teachers told us to make sure we buried our answer until the conclusion. So you have all this contextual information, you have 3 body paragraphs of evidence and argumentation, and then right in the conclusion, you tell people what your answer is. Well, that does not cut it when it comes to high-level executive meetings. What they want to see is that you're able to answer on the spot and that you're able to give them the answer immediately. So that's what the point will be. So the point, for example, if the question is, what is a goal that you're excited to complete in the next month? If I were answering that question starting with the first P, I would say my goal for this month is reading 2 books and listening to 1 audiobook. That's the point. So we'll start there. So I'm curious for y'all. Let me know in the chat if you are answering the question, what's a goal that you're excited to hit this month? Answer that first point. What is that goal? Just in 1 line. And we're going to keep trucking as well. So include that goal in the chat. The next part of answering is R for reason. So you're going to give a concise reason for why you have answered that point. So for example, the question again is, what is a goal that you're excited to complete within this month? My answer was, I'm excited to read 2 books and listen to 1 audiobook. The reason for this is that as someone who often can go really fast-paced, I like to slow down with a couple of books. And a good friend of mine actually published a book on data science that I'm looking forward to reading and giving him a review on. So that's that reason. Pretty short, pretty concise reason. Now, let's go back to that point. A cheat sheet for the structure for PRP is that I, as well as you, can repeat that final point at the end. And that's why my goal for this month is to read 2 books and listen to 1 audiobook. Now you may be thinking, okay, well that answer was about 20 seconds. Am I going to sound repetitive? Isn't it obvious what the point is? However, imagine stretching this point, reason, point structure to a 5-minute speech. Let's say they asked you to give this 5-minute speech. Making sure that you reiterate the point right from the start helps people stay organized. It helps people remember what the goal of that talk is. And it really helps you close what you're saying. And when I say close, the thing I think of first is the double close, or the idea of trying to figure out how to end what you're saying and then ending what you're saying 2 or 3 times. Definitely let me know if you sometimes struggle with finishing what you're saying. Okay, and we're also seeing some awesome points here in the chat. Planning my son's birthday party. Dalinda said writing a blog post once a week. Okay, so that's a goal with consistency. Dania, being more consistent at the gym. Excellent. Dalinda, even writing the reason. Write to synthesize important information and retells a story to inform people. Well, I'm really glad that you're here in these sessions because we're really going to be talking about storytelling in the coming months as well. So again, we have point, we have reason, and we have point. And this is a structure that you can stretch from answering 20 seconds to a minute to 5 minutes as well, depending on the time that you're allotted. It helps you feel more confident in what you're saying, how you're saying it, and how you're ending it, while knowing that the audience has heard your point at least twice, and it's easier for them to recognize what your answer is and what you've said. I see Wendy here. Organization is so important in public speaking and one of the hardest things to do specifically with ADHD. And I'm really glad that you brought that up because I'm someone who has ADHD. And one thing that I found through building this expertise in building so many relationships with clients through my public speaking work is that this public speaking training that I've dedicated myself has actually helped me slow down my brain and has helped me feel a lot more confident, not just as a coach, but out in the world as someone who has a voice and really wants to share what she has to say. So I'm really glad that you brought that up. This is something that works for anyone, but I'm really glad that I can give back not only to the Latina professionals community, but also the neurodiversity community, including fellow ADHDers like myself. Excellent. Even seeing even more goals here, passing my pre-cal test. Let's see. Jose, most high-level executives and audience, they don't want you to tell them how to build a watch. They just want you to tell the time. I love that. That's a really great analogy right there. So you can see how PRP, point, reason, point, really helps you give that direct answer as well. I wanted to make sure that I left y'all with that practice. I'll leave you with another random question so that after this session, you can practice PRP again. So let me think from the height of my intelligence, what a good question would be. A good question for you to do another PRP for yourself, even practice with a family member, a friend, a colleague, is what's the last book that you read that you wouldn't recommend and why? There's a lot of books out there, especially those about productivity, business, entrepreneurship, marketing, that have a lot of Amazon reviews, 5 stars, things like that, but perhaps aren't the best book or didn't work for you. And it's not even about complaining. It's just highlighting your own perspective. So definitely, if you have that book you didn't exactly love, you can feel free to put it in the chat. But I want you to practice writing that out in your notebook as well. And so we have some time. We have about 5 to 7 minutes or so for Q&A. But I wanted to just thank you all so much for your engagement. I'm seeing so much excitement in the comments. I am just feeling the strong energy of letting go of some of that fear of public speaking and recognizing that now is the perfect time to start working on that. My name is Sammy Walker Herrera. You can find me here on LinkedIn. And you can also find me on my website, which is www.speakyall.com. You can really definitely tell I'm from Texas because I named my business Speak Y'all, and I absolutely love it. So just definitely leave some comments and questions in the chat, and I'll stick around for the next few minutes so we can talk about those. Oh my gosh, so many good goals for the rest of this month. And we have a whole other couple weeks of this month as well. Let's see. Want to make sure that I'm able to see some questions. Dalina loves the y'all. That's fantastic. And if I'm not able to see all the questions here on this chat, I know sometimes there's a little bit of a lag between the StreamYard service I'm using versus LinkedIn. Is I'm going to make sure I'm spending the next 10 minutes or so answering questions on LinkedIn and connecting. Let's see, Cecilia. Sammy, thank you so much. I'd love to hear an example of communicating a challenge with the PRP method. Any examples? Fantastic question. All right, so let me think of perhaps a question that's a challenge, which might be something like, can you tell me about a project you didn't feel as good about the end result on? So let's start with that question. Okay, point, reason, point. The project I didn't feel as good at the end result on was a project related to making sure that we're publishing all our social media posts on a content calendar. The reason I didn't feel as good about this project is that the deliverable came in a couple of days late, and we didn't recognize that we missed an opportunity to advertise our organization related to Mother's Day, which is something that was highly trending in the past week in the United States. Not having that deliverable on time was a bit stressful, but one thing that I learned was being able to schedule quite ahead and actually consult a few websites that talked about national and international days. That's the reason why the last project I didn't feel so good about was that content calendar, because we didn't have it quite in the amount of time to do as much research as we wanted to do. So I hope that was helpful, Cecilia. That question or that structure can be something that can be interchangeable or at least helpful regarding the STAR method. And that's something we can talk about in future sessions as well, which is an interview question answering method. So that stands for situation, task, action, result. You can also still do PRP, where it's clear what is the point, what is the reason, and what is the point. I probably answered 45 seconds to a minute or so. A good interview question is about 1.5 to 2 minutes, which has quite a bit more detail. But I hope that was a helpful example. Question. Oh, well, Belina, I hope that was helpful using the PRP without that interruption there. I know one of my favorite questions to do a quick PRP with is, what is your favorite fruit and why? And it's very easy to do a 3-sentence one for that. My favorite fruit is the mango. The reason the mango is my favorite fruit is because I actually never had a mango until I was about 21 and I was volunteering abroad in Bolivia. And the first bite from that mango was so fresh and delicious and reminds me of those times connecting with many of my fellow colleagues and students from Slippery Rock University. That's why my favorite fruit is the mango. That was probably about 30 seconds or so. I keep to timing myself on that one. But again, good to practice without that interruption. Excellent. Well, thank you so much for your time today, y'all. I'll definitely make sure to connect, and I will be posting the next sessions that I will be hosting here on Latina Professionals. Again, Mondays at noon, you'll be connecting with me, Sammy Walker Herrera, Executive Public Speaking Coach. Again, connect with me here on LinkedIn. I'm so excited to learn your stories, to learn why you want to build public speaking confidence. And with that, you can also connect with me at speakyall.com. I'll see y'all soon, and definitely connect with the rest of the sessions that we have through Latina Career Connect. We have sessions on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, every single weekday, or work weekday, if you will, so that you can just continue to build your professional development. You can continue building your confidence, and you can really see where you can take your next steps as an aspiring leader. Alrighty, y'all. Take care.